So what we're going to be doing is we have, or I should say I have a glass bowl because I couldn't find my fish bowl tonight. So we have a plain old glass bowl. I've got the questions. I will be serving as timekeeper with Jack keeping things honest. And we're going to proceed. Can I have candidates for mayor, town council, board of finance, and board of ed? Please come on up. I think we have name signs for everybody that showed up. We tried grouping you together. So I'm going to give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. Steve. Hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
How you doing?
How's the weather down there?
Cold and cloudy.
Would you mind introducing yourself, sharing what position you're campaigning for?
I'm Stephen Molaski. I'm campaigning for a position on the Board of Finance.
Next.
I'm Melanie Church-Loganski. I'm petitioning candidate for the Board of Finance.
Hi, I'm Ellen Roth, and I'm a candidate for Board of Education.
Hi, Chris Simo Kinzer, running for Board of Education.
I'm Bill Herring, petitioning candidate for position of mayor.
I'm Ralph Zilvich. I too am running for mayor. No, I'm just kidding. Next time, Bob. Bye.
Devlin Toth. I am running for Town Council District 2. For those of you that don't know, District 2 is on the south side of Route 6. So if you live on the good side of the tracks, I'm with you.
Hi, I'm Jerry Fedorovich. I'm running for council in the 1st District.
If you want. No, you sure? Yeah, the mics. I think it might work better if we actually take the mics out of the stand and maybe hold them when we try to speak, because they are live and they actually do help. Okay. Okay, so let's start. Let's see. We're going to start with Board of Finance.
What do you as a candidate bring to the table? What qualification sets you apart from the others?
Board of Finance could be for Steve or Melanie. Who wants to start? There you go.
We good? All right, I guess what could qualify me is I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. In all seriousness, I do own my own company, which in and of itself, I don't know if anyone else here has the personal businesses that they run, should qualify you for the Board of Finance. I have a health and life insurance license. I used to work with seniors on Medicare, dealing with annuities and health insurance and life insurance. I guess what you could kind of say is I'm not just going to be a rubber stamp. My big thing is that the current Board of Finance is just a way of just passing the agenda of whoever happens to be in power, and with very little to no regard for following the town charter, as we've seen with the last budget referendum. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not a fan of debt. One big thing in my life is I do not think it's wise to be in debt if there is any way that you could find a way of getting out of debt. And that would speak true for the town as well. Thank you.
I'm Melanie Church, and I'm running for the Board of Finance. There's a number of reasons I decided to step forward, and it was done at last minute. I've been fighting for 12 years going to every Board of Finance meeting. I missed 6 in 12 years. I am going to start off by saying I've watched it disintegrate. And each 2-year period, it's getting worse. We have too much deficit spending. We start with a budget, and a month later, we're adding to the budget by council vote, and they were not put in the budget originally. To me, it's more important that we start off with a zero-based budget. You ask for what you want, you get what we feel we can afford, and to stop the extra expenditures that were not in the budget and taking the voice of the people away. I feel that is one of the first and foremost most important. I think also it shouldn't be a mayor presents a budget. You want something for your budget, you want something for your department, prove it. There are so many expenditures that according to the charter, anything over $10,000, you need 3 bids. That is not done. Then this year I saw a truck for one price and then come up to be another $75,000 higher after it was said yes. Capital should be brought forward, not one person bringing forward what they feel is important. I think each budget, each department needs to come forward and let the whole board hear every part. Another problem I see, and I see it from July till now, not once has the Board of Finance been given how much expenditures have been expended so far. They haven't seen it in months, and months before this they didn't see it. And like I said, it has disintegrated to the point that we are just doing deficit spending as if money grows on trees. This is our tax dollars. We were given a vote. Our vote was denied. The salary increases that went on over the last 2 years, that first year,
30 seconds.
largest ever made, and they were not brought to the council first for approval. Thank you.
What is your formal education and financial background, and how does that qualify you to serve on the town of Plymouth Board of Finance?
Okay, as I said earlier, I hold a insurance license. I also graduated from UConn with a degree in natural resources management, which I feel applies to the Board of Finance in the way that you're more or less managing the resources so that they don't run out. As you know, we can see how we're $25 million in debt. I think we ran out of resources quite a while ago. I used to work for the Connecticut Center for Advanced Technologies Office of Energy Efficient Businesses program. Aside from being a scout here in town and Eagle Scout, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty well qualified.
I'm Melanie Church, and the reason I feel unqualified, I've learned the budget. I asked the questions. I was taught from some of the pioneers, I'd like to say, or our foremothers and fathers of this community that sat on there and learned it. And one of those is Ann Talija, who I owe an awful lot to. I pick her brain, and I've learned that budget. I had different board members say, you took it on and you learned it. But it didn't come instantly, and I would not have said that before. But I feel I am the most qualified because I understand revenues, expenses, deficits, and budgets. And as far as the $25 million that we are father in debt for, it was voted on by we the people. Don't negate it. I have been against things, but the vote of the voice of the people is what counts. And if they say yes, whether I agree or not, that is the majority vote. And you cannot do it and now start negating them. I have been against things, and I have seen them pass. I've been against things, and I've seen them not pass. So it goes both ways. And it's not one person, it's all. But the first and foremost thing I'm going to ask for, I want to see the numbers on how much money has been spent so far this year. Each line item. Another thing, I wasn't going to bring it up, but I am. The $972,000. And I have documentation. It was given to me, I went through it, and I studied it. We spent approximately $300,000 extra on the highway garage. And while I went to meetings and I asked, Board of Finance and Town Council, no one would answer. I am going to demand these answers. Thank you.
Just for clarification, each of the candidates have 3 minutes to respond to questions. I realize I neglected to say that at the beginning. Sorry.
How do you propose addressing our town's $21 million in unfunded liabilities to retirees?
Our $21 million in unfunded liabilities, I believe last year we put away $300,000 to devote it to this. Anyone can see that that's severely underfunded or severely lower than what it should be. We should be putting away a few $1 million at a minimum a year to deal with this. Most of that is already in contracts, which really, unless if you're the current mayor, you're not that willing to break, lawfully. So the best way to address that would be our future contracts have to be taken under a lot more consideration as far as the long-term cost. And if there is a heavy long-term cost, we need to set aside appropriate funds so that when the time comes, we're not stuck having to pay out millions and millions of dollars when we could have only been paying a few $1 million a year. As you can see, I'm not a man of very many words, but another thing we could do also in the future is work on combining higher level BOE jobs. Working in the past from the state and other public agencies, I've seen that a lot of public departments are run like upside down pyramids, where you have way too many chiefs and not enough Indians, and all the chiefs tend to draw an exorbitant amount of pensions and health insurance and other things, which I agree is good and a part of their contract. But having 5 different people do one job and pulling a 20-year pension from that is not the best interest of the town. Thank you.
I've looked at the $21 million unfunded mandate for the pensions. I don't know if that's really so. And I'm going to tell you why. Back in the Festa administration, he stopped it. He changed it. He made it so it was into like a 401k is probably the way I could best explain it for everyone to understand. So all our new employees are not under this pension. It's our older employees. And I would like to see that gone through again and checked. If they claim that there were dead people receiving health insurance, how many dead people are still considered into that number? I don't believe that anything has been looked at as thoroughly as it needs to be. I believe that we need to break down the pensions and find out what the true cost is. We have to do that as an investment. We have to put money in. But I do not want to see it as a permanent part of the budget. I would like to see it as part of like a capital and pay it down and then it disappears. If it becomes part of the budget, it increases the budget. And that's the same thing that's been done in the last 2 years. They've added new line items. So I ask that it be put under capital because it is a capital. It's an expense that we are obligated to pay. And I know that we could take what we have and find a way to invest and make that money work. Bristol has done it, and other towns have done it. And I ask that it be done here. Also, you cannot touch the Board of Ed and tell them how they can spend their money on what pensions. So you cannot touch that. And I cannot make that promise to you because it's very clear. They are autonomous.
1 minute.
The only thing we do is give them the money and they can spend it any way they want. That is state and federal law. Thank you.
How would you improve the current budget?
Like we just discussed, a good portion of the budget is fixed, or in the BOE, so much that you could do to change that. The biggest thing I would attempt to do to change the budget was pretty much you have to go line by line and question, is this a want or a need? We need to start drawing the line between nice things and things that this town actually does need. And any, like Melanie said earlier, any spending that happens to come up should be in the budget and needs to get voted on. Like I said before, we have a lot of top-heavy salaries, and yeah, just wants versus needs.
How would I change the budget? Number one, I'd look at that $150,000 that is not in the budget, that was voted on by the council and not voted on by you, the people. Nowhere in that charter does the Board of Finance nor the council have the power to spend anything over $50,000. That is going to be the first thing that I would fight for sitting on there. The second thing is that emergency appropriation. You know what? Go out there and look. It's not in. And yet we spent $75,000 without your voice. The charter is our United States Constitution. It is the exact same as our United States and our state constitution. Those are the things that I want done immediately. And when the 61st day hits, and that generator isn't out there, if you read the charter, it's null and void. It was not an emergency. It comes back to us, the people. That is the first thing. The second thing is, I want to know where the money's being spent. I want to know where it's been spent. You have a budget, I want to be sure it's being followed. No one's questioning. No one has seen any of the expenditures so far. And that is making it so we don't know where our money is. Do you take your checkbook every month and look at it, or do you leave it for 4 months and just keep spending money and have no clue? This is what's going on with our Board of Finance, with the council. No one knows. And another thing is, if there's a problem, I'm going to bring it up to the council. The council is our legislative body. The mayor is a weak form of government. It goes to the council. And we have to give power back to the council. We need also, for the Board of Finance, we are advisory. But advisory means that we let things be known, not hide it, not shove it under a carpet, not turn our heads. And once the budget is made, it turns around, we have to be sure it's being followed. It's not just putting together a budget.
Currently, our charter says that the chairman of the Board of Finance cannot vote except in the event of a tie. Would you like to see our charter changed to allow the chairman to maintain his right to vote?
I'm not quite sure how necessary that would be. On a board of 7, the only tie you'll get is obviously a 3-3, in which case the chairman will vote and then cause the deciding vote. The other instance would be 4-2, in which case what difference does it make, as some famous politicians like to tell the phrase. Although I do believe it's always good to have people's opinions on record, just for future reference, so they can look back and see how they stood on certain issues. Although I am in favor of changing the charter, but that is more towards the effect of more clearly defining what happens under the failed second budget referendum we've recently had in town. Thank you.
I do not feel that the chairman should be a voting factor. The chairman is supposed to be impartial, give both, not one side. And I think that would make it more political than anything else. and side with the mayor or whatever and feel that pressure. And if you were here when the council voted on the budget and it came to the Board of Ed side and he wanted to add more money, I watched Mayor Merchant literally say, oh, well, we should put it off and we should do this, and try to stop the vote. And I would be afraid of that vote. And I would be afraid that they could not be impartial. And I believe that pressure could cause someone to vote one way more so than what they truly believe. I believe that it should stay the way it is, and I believe our forefathers saw it as it could turn into a political thing, and the more politics in there, the less chance. I also feel that there should be a change with the charter, and that is have unlimited referendums, not just two, and not put it in anyone's hands. We have to pay the bills, put it back into the people's hands.
Now we're going to move